Previously on Transformers Prime.
You'll be reviewing Beast Wars Madness Prime.
Megaros! So, I've been enjoying the Transformers cartoons as of late. Transformers Animated has its flaws, but its colorful characters and uniquely over-the-top design are able to keep me invested in the overarching story quite efficiently. And Transformers Prime might be the closest thing to perfection a giant robot show has ever gotten to be. Not to mention it's the best looking CG animated TV series so far. Apparently, larger-than-life toys can be well rendered in 3D. Who would have ever thought? With that in mind, it's only appropriate that I've been challenged to review the first Transformers show, the premiere of the first Transformers show, to make use of the CGI technique all these years ago. So, let's see how Beast Wars has held up the test of time.
Hey, look at me! I'm a cheetah! No, I'm Cheetor!
A bit tacky. You never had taste, did you, kid? Now this is what class is all about. Call me Rat Trap.
Interesting.
Interesting? Optimus, the word is spot on smooth.
Awkward.
It's a crime.
In this version, the Autobots are called Maximals, the Decepticons are called Predacons, and instead of taking the form of human vehicles, they take the shape of animals. And yes, all the Transformers have completely forced names derived from the creature they happen to resemble. All except Megatron, whom is a T-Rex and sounds like a particularly fruity James Bond villain.
Oh, you're so impulsive, Dinobot. Brave, but misguided.
The setting for their weekly clashes is a supposedly inhabited planet made of primitive biological life forms, mysterious relics from ancient civilizations, and lots of energon, their primary source of nourishment, to fight each other for. For some contrived reason, too much exposure to energon is dangerous to the bot's processors, even though said energon is what makes them function in the first place. Logically, that doesn't make much sense. I mean, they feed off energon, but they cannot stand to live in an atmosphere that's filled with its radiations? How does that work is beyond me. Before long, it becomes obvious that this plot device serves as a blatant excuse to have the robots stay in their animal form for the vast majority of the show. They have to sell the new toys after all, because thanks to an even more contrived excuse, taking the form of the local fauna is preventing them to be affected by the radiations. Somehow, as a result, unless he's fighting, Optimus Primal will always look like a gorilla. An awful CGI gorilla. And now, here's a scene of a giant rat on a gorilla's back riding a rhinoceros. Ta-da! At the end of the first half of this premiere, Optimus faces Dinobot, a deserter of the Predacons, in combat, they will eventually form an unlikely alliance based on honor after Megatron tries to eliminate them both with the mother of all sneak missile attacks. Later on, the two opposing forces will wage battle nearby a huge energon reservoir inside a mountain.
Let's do it!
Due to the strong radiations, the two groups cannot afford to risk exposure by reverting back to their robot forms. Which means, thanks to yet another forcefully contrived plot device, they're going to beat each other up as animals. The climax of this episode features King Kong versus Gojira. Also, Dinobot deviates a missile with its Velociraptor's tail. So, at the end of the day, Megatron is defeated and supposedly dead. No, he's not. And the Maximals live to fight another day.
So for now, let the battle be here, on this strange primitive world, and let it be called Beast Wars!
The main issue with the show lies, predictably, in its awfully outdated visuals and such other details that didn't age gracefully. But if one manages to look past the PlayStation 1 style blocky graphics, the ludicrous premise, even for the standards of the franchise, and the very annoying fact that all robots need to yell the same catchphrase every time they transform, there is a lot of potential to be found in here. Personally, the only real problem I had with this show was the absence of the human factor. Allow me to elaborate on that. Contrary to what the movies led us to believe, the presence of the human race, in reasonable doses that is fundamental to the story and the characters of a Transformers show. By giving the Autobots someone to protect against the evil of the Decepticons, they can be allowed to evolve both as characters and as an undisputed force of good. They are different from their enemies because they aren't just fighting them for the possession of Energon, they are fighting to save their human friends. In that regard, Prime was the show that truly nailed the importance of the human factor in such a story, for one of its strongest elements was the relationship between single Autobots and their human companions, which in turn allowed them to evolve as characters and strengthen their motivations. In Beast Wars, however, without a local population to protect, the Autobots, or Maximals if you will, are just there to steal Energon before their enemy does, which doesn't really make them all that different from them. Even though this is merely a premiere that's clearly foreshadowing bigger things to come, as of now, it still feels that the authors of this show were severely missing the whole point. Well, Ross, it's that time of the episode. You know, the time I challenge you back. I had fun with Beast Wars, all things considered. Let's see if you can have some resemblance of fun with the show I had in mind for you. So, did you know there was a Parappa the Rapper anime? Well, there is a Parappa the Rapper anime, apparently, and you're going to review the first episode. Have fun!
電話。サニーちゃんとケイティと約束してたんだ。おはよう、サニーちゃん。